Hey friends, and welcome to this week's edition of Roaming Taste videos. This week we are making Marens-Kornflexkökur, and can I just say that I truly apologise to anyone who speaks Icelandic. I do not mean to offend, and I'm sure I just completely butchered that up. But the loose translation to English is that these are chocolate cornflake meringue cookies. They are freaking delicious. In the several years since I first discovered this recipe, they have featured quite heavily in my kitchen because there's only 5 ingredients, and usually if I have some egg whites that are just sitting in the freezer and I can't be bothered making anything like too fussy, like a pavlova, or too time consuming, then these are a great thing to make. The best description I would have for how they taste is that they are a very distant relative of like s'mores. There's no crunchiness there because the cornflakes are slightly soft therein, but when you bite into them it's almost like you're biting into like a marshmallowy chocolatey goodness. And I can tell you from personal experience that when you pick up one and you're like, oh, I just need a little treat, that it never ever suffices. You ultimately will always end up coming back and getting at least one, if not 2 more, to enjoy with a cup of tea or coffee. I would love to know if you give these a go, so please add a comment below or tag me on Instagram at Roaming Taste.
Before we start, we'll want to preheat our oven to 150 degrees Celsius or 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And we'll also want to line a baking tray with greaseproof paper so it's all ready to go. Next, we'll want to place our egg whites in a clean, dry bowl and beat them with a hand mixer or a stand mixer on about Mark 3, so not low but not completely medium either. And start slowly adding the sugar, approximately 1 tablespoon to 1.5 tablespoons. You can basically just eyeball this, adding it in, and then mixing it until it's dissolved, and then continuing this process until the sugar is fully incorporated into the egg whites and the egg whites have reached stiff peaks. This should take approximately 9 minutes to really ensure that the sugar is fully incorporated and that the egg whites are not grainy. By also adding the sugar a little at a time, we're really fully incorporating it whilst also giving the egg whites time to reach stiff peaks, which will really give us the best foundation for when we do add in those other ingredients, because when it is baked, the outside of the cookies are crispy whilst the insides are very soft and marshmallowy, and so this is what also helps to get those results. Now, I've tried to find out the origins of this recipe or how long it's been within Icelandic cuisine, and I've really come up empty. There's not much to be found online, and the only recipe I could really find online is the one that I use here that is on my blog, but it's there originally from swirled.com. So I would love to tell you that there's an amazing story as to how this recipe is created or how it came about, but I actually have nothing. Though I can say it is so incredibly easy and you don't need any unusual ingredients to make this, and that's why I think it's become so beloved in my kitchen, as well as something that I found has really drawn a lot of people in. I get a lot of hits on this recipe and I can see why. Another great thing about this recipe is also how easy it is to take egg whites and make them into meringue, but make them into something that's a little bit less fussy. You don't need to worry about like leaving the oven door closed or having it in your oven for several hours like a pavlova. And I know a lot of people are usually daunted by meringues. However, this really proves that you can take some egg whites that you're not really sure what to do with and turn them into cookies with ingredients that you likely already have in your kitchen, some cereal and some chocolate. It is super unfussy, and I can say without a doubt that it makes enough for you to have a batch in your home, and it is definitely great to share, and I think that may in fact be why it is something that's eaten around Christmas time, because obviously cookies are a Christmas time treat, but they should definitely not just be reserved for that time of year. If you have egg whites, you can definitely make these. As you can see, we've added in the last of the sugar, and now we're fully incorporating that into the egg whites. Now, it's at this stage that you might want to, when you stop mixing, you might want to test the egg whites between your fingers and test to see if there is any graininess. You don't want to over mix them though. Next, we add in the chocolate, the vanilla extract, and the cornflakes. And we want to incorporate those slowly because we do not want to lose any of that volume that we have managed to create in the beating of the egg whites. This is simple. I usually fold and turn the bowl and fold and turn the bowl. I find this helps ensure that I'm not putting too much mixing into one area of the bowl at any one time. And as you can see, it actually just does look like marshmallow, and that doesn't really change from here on out. The cornflakes do get slightly soft in the baking process, so don't stress too much if you find that you're pushing them down a little bit too much or they're getting a little bit cracked. They will be fully incorporated, and so what we're really wanting to ensure here is to make sure that the chocolate and the cornflakes are fully incorporated into the egg whites, but that they do not change their consistency. And you see how quick it all comes together. It's usually at this point where it looks so delectable that I have to stop myself from like licking the spatula. But we want a full batch of cookies, so we will continue folding those through, and when you can barely see any cornflakes or any chocolate chunks that are not fully covered with meringue, then you know that they're fully incorporated. I opted to use an ice cream scoop to get equal amounts of meringue out, but I have previously used teaspoons or tablespoons. There is no hard and fast rule to how you make these, though you do not really want to touch them very much. You kind of want to just scoop them and put them on your baking tray. As you can see, I'm leaving enough space for them to expand slightly, but also you just want to make sure that they're not too close together on the baking tray so that they get evenly baked. Once you have put them fully on your baking tray, you'll want to place them in the oven and bake them for approximately 20 minutes until they're golden brown on the outside and they're slightly crispy. What I find is the best thing to do is to remove them from the oven when they have got a nice light brown crisp on the outside, and then let them sit and just kind of rest on the baking tray for a further 2 to 3 minutes once I've removed them from the oven. Allow them to cool fully before you break them open. These are definitely best served with a drink, either coffee or tea or your preference, and enjoy.